3, 2,
And we're
one last thing here. All right. Ready to go? Joe, are you with us?
I'm here.
All right. Good evening, folks. My name is Shane Schulz. I am your host of Arisen Strength. We have our panel here, the majority of our panel. This is becoming a habit. Well, we don't have Crystal yet. We're not sure if we're going to have her because of the Easter holiday. We're not quite sure if she's going to be able to get here from her dinner or not. So, but we do have Joey Aquilino, otherwise known as Joey Giggles of the JGF organization. Happy Easter, Joey.
Happy Easter. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Happy to be here.
Excellent. And then we've got Wayne, the hack.
Hello, everybody. Happy Easter. Glad to be here.
Happy Easter. Now, this show was changed at the last moment. It was initially going to be the show to cover autism awareness. Thursday was the World Awareness Day for Autism, and I have to admit that I'm not prideful enough in order to know when I made a mistake, because I kind of got into when there's an awareness month, then we're going to do that, and no matter what. But I realized yesterday and today we were missing a big part of what Arisen Strength is all about, and that is celebration. And coming up on Easter, which is a very family holiday type, I really had it in my heart that we had to change the show to where we were going to celebrate and recognize the supporters that we've all had in our lives during our challenges and our struggles. So we went ahead and we changed that, and I can't tell you, right away there was like a bunch of bricks that went off of my shoulders. It was really strange, because when it came to autism awareness, I really want to do that right. I know I've said this a couple times, but autism I'm very familiar with. I actually worked with autistic adults for 4 years in a couple different places. I've worked with Willowbrook patients, so I'm very familiar with working with autism. But it happens to be, and you hear this a lot, that this disease has more questions than it does answers. And I didn't really want to rush into it and not be able to bring it to the audience, you the audience, in a way that was understood from a patient's point of view and wasn't constantly consumed by the medical terminology and the medical questions and so forth. So we're gonna move the autism awareness show. We're gonna air that next week on the 12th at the same time at 8 o'clock on Arisen Strength. So I appreciate the audience understanding why we did that. I believe that it's right for both episodes, because again, I really want to do autism awareness in a way that it brings awareness the best that it can from the show. And tonight I really feel the gratitude part of my recovery when it comes to my illness, my challenges, my struggles, because I think that was really something that we were kind of missing, and I was not liking that, so I really wanted to change that up. We have an opportunity in order to celebrate, we're going to do it, and we're going to have a good time at it. And, so with that being the case, this show is going to be focused on recognizing those who supported us during our challenges, our struggles, whether it be in the past or whether it be current. Joey, I hope I didn't throw you off too badly.
No, not at all. I could talk about anything, so not a problem.
So, Joey, why don't you start us off? Somebody who you'd like to recognize as one of your supporters during your challenging days, whether it be in the past or whether it be current.
Yeah, I'd like to. I always thank my rock. My rock is my mom. She passed away in 2003 from cancer. So I know what cancer is all about. I went through it. Saw a healthy person dwindle away. She was very powerful. In my life, very powerful. But she was a very good person when it came to no words. She hardly ever spoke. But when she did speak, it meant something, she was very quiet person. Never really said much. And just very powerful with her words. Also, she was a warrior. Boy, was she a warrior. She fought that cancer. It was unbelievable how she fought that cancer. But there was other challenges in her life that she fought. So I always looked up to my mom. She was always there when I needed to talk to her about an issue or a problem. Unfortunately, I don't have that now for about 12 years. So it's kind of hard for me, so I look for that motherly figure in someone. So I would have to say, now that motherly figure would have to be my favorite aunt and a couple of my friends here on the internet. Crystal is one of those people that I really look up to. Lisa Meadows, another one. Marcy. So I really look for that. I guess that that feminine person, to talk to, because I always got the answers that I needed from my mother. And I really never, in these 12 years, it's tough to find that answer now. Those people, they actually helped me through, a tough time when I'm trying to figure out, the right path, So I want to thank those people as well as my mother.
That's excellent. And I really appreciate you bringing up the subject that we have influential people in our lives that are no longer with us, but they made a big difference in our lives nonetheless. Wayne, how about you?
Hey, personally, I'd like to take some time to recognize for support be my ex-wife. I was married 23 years, and during that time, I was not taking care of my mental health. I was not taking care of related to that. Strong with it was in the throes of my addiction. I was seriously abusing alcohol, and just not making myself aware of my mental health, not treating my mental health properly, and that caused, of course, a lot of problems in the marriage. She did her best to support me at that time, but the real lesson for, especially when you're dealing with, when it comes to mental health and addiction, the support has to come from the person first. You have to support yourself. If I don't support myself, it doesn't matter what anybody else does. They have to just accept me as I am or move on. They don't really have another choice in the matter other than just to wear themselves out. And that's what my ex-wife did. She really wore herself out to the point where it was clear that I was not going to do this at that time. support myself. And so all the support that she could possibly give was still she was wasting her time, and it really wasn't the life that she wanted for herself with me there in the condition I was in. So she had to make some tough choices, and of course, I had to make some choices too because it's all happening. And we separated and divorced after 23 years. And since that time, she's become my best friend, my biggest support, because it was not right away. It was a rocky road. But I started reaching out for the help that I needed, and she was there to help me, cautiously at first, perhaps, more than the average person would be stepping in. But she wasn't, getting herself fully invested with her time. Sort of emotionally, she was. I mean, she was really feeling my pain. But she made sure that I was getting to the hospital. I was getting to treatment. She would come by every morning. I was in a program, a 30-day intensive daycare program, where it was from like 8 to 3 or 8 to 4 every day. And she would pick me up before she went to work. And she would leave work early and pick me up and take me home because I wasn't driving that time. So it was, she made sure that I was getting my treatment. And then over the years, she's been even more and more supportive of the efforts as I've taken on more and more responsibility. I mean, now the support is much more moral support, which is extremely important. That it's the celebration of support and recognition of the work that I've done. And it's been a great relationship. And she's been, if I had to single one person out, it would be no contest. I'd have to single her out. That doesn't mean there's not a room full of other people who are probably worthy of recognition, including
it's an hour show,
including Shane right here in the room, Crystal, who I've known for years, who Joey mentioned. She represents a group of people that I met when I was doing a lot of Twitter. And there was a point where I needed to kind of reach out to people, and Twitter was a place where I could reach out. In a way, at first to strangers. It's different than sort of Facebook. You sort of connect with people that you've already known. Twitter is a place where you can learn. For me, I learned to meet new people. And Crystal was one of the people I met when I got on Twitter. And she was incredibly supportive. And then from there, I met a circle of friends who have since become my Facebook friends and are a big part of my Facebook circle. My Facebook friends include basically about half are people who I grew up with, so to speak, the high school, college friends, and then the other half are people I've met on the internet, and we've just become internet friends, and then we share on Facebook. So at that time when I was reaching out, Twitter was a lifesaver. So all the people who I followed on Twitter. They're my Facebook friends now too, and we're not so much on Twitter, any of us. We've all kind of moved on over the years. Maybe some of them are still on there, but we're more like friends on Facebook, and that's nice. That's been very supportive. The supports from just treatment supports. My therapists, army of therapists, army of doctors.
It's an hour show. You're gonna go through them all right now.
Well, that's what I thought you meant when you said it's an hour.
I was ready to wrap
up right away.
I just said one.
That's why I wrapped up. Then you said you stopped me after the first one, and you said it's an hour show. Yeah, I was ready to stop.
Because you were going the second one.
No, I was stopping. Well, to me, somebody said, in my mind, I was stopping. He said, that was an hour show, and I thought, sorry. He wants me to stretch it out for 10 more minutes.
Oh, that's my fault. I apologize.
Through the magic of editing, one of this may vanish.
Yeah,
or appear later on in the show.
It's all about being fun. I'm like, oh, why? Hey, wait a minute. I have to say that the first one that comes to mind is my mother and my father. I joke about it a lot, that I am not meant for the weak of heart in any way. I mean, I am one that is very opinionated. I come with a big list of situations that have happened in my life. When it came to my addiction, when it came to my illness, whether it be my mental illness or my physical ailments, or when it just came to my depression, my depressed attitude, and the way that I looked at the world in a distorted view in a number of ways. And it wasn't the easiest thing in the world for any of us in the household. We had a good foundation. We had a good nucleus, but there was definitely something going wrong, and it was me with my depression, with my PTSD symptoms. It was a lot that was going on there that they had to endure, and so they did the best that they could with the best way that they knew how, and I can see that now. I did not see that at the time. I did not see that as I grew older. There was a lot of distorted thoughts that were in my mind with my depression, as to where, the way that they were, it was like a tough love type of thing. That's the way that I took it, but really, they were scared to death. They saw a lot of things that were going wrong. They saw a young man, not doing well in a number of different ways. And so, they did the best that they could. They were always supportive, even with me and my worst in my addiction. They were supportive as far as doing the best that they could in order to try to help me out at the time. And then sometimes, I abused those privileges. And I have to recognize them in the biggest way. I'm not saying that we had the perfect relationship all the time. Nobody does. But I do know that they love me. I know that they were, every time that I went into the hospital, when they were in the know and when they were in the area, they were there. They tried helping me numerous times, and I just wasn't able to receive that. And so I know that it was a tough burden having me, but they stuck with me. They still stick with me, and I love them for it. And I can't respect two people any more than when I do them. My mother is all of 4'11". She's known as the general of the family. Just ask any one of them. She takes care of everybody and anything. She's opinionated. I know where I got that from. I know where I got a lot of things from. And, but I'm proud of that, because I'll tell you what, that's what brought this show possible, because of those characteristics that I got from her. So she never gave up. She was a single mom for a time. She happened to have one job. She was one of the lucky ones, and it wasn't necessarily lucky. It was because she worked her ass off. She worked for the state. She started when she was 18 years old, and she retired from the state. And she didn't just stay in one department. She went to school at nights, and she made herself into a hell of a computer programmer, and went up from there. And she ended up pretty high. I don't know exactly what the title was that she ended up with, but I know that she was in demand from a number of different departments. So, she actually had a lot to do with some of the people might recognize the CAD system. She was, on the team that was the one that started testing on the CAD system, and which is basically it's like a printer, but it does it by each little pixel, almost like a pinhead. And at the time, I'll never forget the first picture that she brought home was a Corvette. Because our family's big on Corvettes, and so it kind of fit. So, and then there's my father, and my father is somebody who, who I respect a great deal. He's been there in a very quiet way, and he has always been like a rock in a way for me to rely on. Sometimes we didn't communicate the best, but I love him to death because I respect the man a great deal, and and so, like I said, they've been through a pretty good ring around when it came to my life, and right now they're retired and they're loving life. They're down in Florida right now, and they're probably due to come back here any week now. And they deserve it. They really deserve it. And so I wanted to recognize them first. So Joey, who else did you have in mind there?
Who else? Well, let's see. Who else could I thank today? Well, I could definitely thank the folks that I met on the internet. I mean, during from 2008 on, since my injury, 2008 to about 2010, I really needed people. So in 2009, actually it was the end of 2008 that I got my injury. And it was October 2008. Going through heaps and heaps of pain around that time. And 2009, I decided to start using my Twitter account. And the Twitter account was actually up for a little bit, but it had no friends. I never used it, per se. And then I got really heavily involved, and I wanted to find people who had RSD to talk to them about, my pain. So my very first few friends, like my very first 20, 25 friends were RSD patients, and those folks, helped me get through, got me involved with different organizations. That's how I really got involved with different things on the internet. That's how I gained the momentum and the motivation to start JGF organizations, actually start the hashtag, which actually turned into an organization. It was just a hashtag on Twitter, JGF, and it was in 2010, 2009, when we came up with the hashtag, and that's when JGF truly started. Me and my friend Lisa, she said, "Hey, Joe, and this friend I met on the internet, and she was like one of my very first friends, I still keep in touch with my first 100 friends per se, like the really, really long-term followers that I've had. I had so many long-term followers, but, I really got to know a lot of these great folks. I got to know a lot of these great Twitterers and Facebookers and so on and so forth, and there's a lot of friends that I made on the internet. I consider them friends. We may have not met personally and actually shook hands and gave hugs and kisses and so, but I consider each and every one of you that I met on the internet are a friend, and that's just the way I am, once you come into my life, you're in my life. You know what I'm saying? And I met a lot of great people here. And like I said, my first 25 followers were RSDers, and I will never forget those people. And then just moving on from there, I met so many other great people. Dealing with JGF organization and all the other organizations that I'm a part of. And I just want to thank those people. I have to say, thank you, Twitter followers. Thank you, Facebook followers, fans, friends. Like I said, I consider you all my friends and all great supporters of my radio show, Arisen Strength, and all these other great shows that I happen to be on. And I think it's great that you support. There's just so much support out there that people don't even realize how much support is out there and how many nice people you could actually meet on the internet. There are a lot of nice people on the internet, believe it or not. And like I said, don't have to be a physical touch for me to say you're my friend. I'm on air with these guys every week. I consider them my friends. Haven't officially met them yet to say, well, yeah, we officially met, but I talk to these guys all the time. Shane is a part of my organization, so I want to thank these guys, obviously. They're part of the Twitter, Facebook faithful. It's just it's a great time, ladies and gentlemen. When I'm on the internet, I'm a totally different person from when I'm off the internet. No, that's not true. I'm the same everywhere. What I mean by that is that when I walk down the block, people don't know who I am. But when I'm on the internet, everybody knows who Joey Giggles is. So that's where I say I'm different. But other than that, my personality never changes, and I'm the same guy on and off the internet. I'm not one of these people, that are fake, and a different personality on the internet than they are in real life. But what people need to understand about me is that, I'm a genuine guy. I come to you with a genuine cause. And I come to you with a genuine heart, and I think it's imperative, to note that I would not be on the internet if I didn't believe so. If I didn't believe that Joey Giggles could be real, I wouldn't be here. Joey Giggles is real on and off the internet, and I just want to thank all my great followers, Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and Google Plus and all those other great networks out there. You all guys are great. When you watch these videos, I hope that you share them around because I think it's important to get these videos out there to everybody. So thank you very much, guys.
Well, that's cool, Joey. I appreciate that. I know Wayne's got a few more, even though that he was on a roll. So who supported you, in your tough times, in your struggles, your challenges?
Well, after I'd realizing that I needed to get help for myself, and getting that help, I had a lot of support from both the medical community and the local mental health organizations here in town. Here we have an organization in the Albany Rensselaer area called the Mental Health Empowerment Exchange, Mental Health Empowerment Project, MHEP, and that's the sort of the umbrella organization for the Albany Rensselaer County area. And then here in Troy, we have the Empowerment Exchange, which is a sort of a subgroup that operates more locally in Troy. And they've been a great sort of local resource. It's a free resource, and they provide a lot of great support. And then of course in the professional community, I was in intensive day treatment for about a year and a half, which included Similar to the 30-day program I had mentioned earlier, my wife would pick me up and drop me off. This was an intensive day treatment. It would be 3 hours a day, maybe, a rough guess, 2 to 3 hours a day. But it was every day, 5 days a week. It went on for about a year and a half. The people who run the program, the staff there, were often very, very good support. And then more recently, working on the satellite program, which is just a step down, a major step down. I was doing that, and right now I'm kind of in between programs. Just in the last week, the satellite program I was attending is closed, but now new supports are on the horizon. So there's been plenty of support out there that I've found and used, be it social media, be it old friends, new friends, professional supports, and the professional volunteer support, the non-medical people outside the medical community, offering great support. And it's kind of inspired me to really want to be more supportive in these causes. Because as Joey said, hey, share these videos, talk about this stuff. There's everything. There's something every one of us can do. There's something every one of us can benefit from, and there's something every one of us can do for somebody else. My little motto it's along my motto of learn, improve, share. And so get the support, do myself better, and then return that support back to the community.
That's very cool. It's funny that you mentioned MAP and the Empowerment Exchange because, as you know, Serenely Speaking and Arisen Strength is heavily involved into those groups, both in the region and also in this local area. And so, I definitely have to say that they're supportive of the Arisen Strength concept for sure, and it's going to be fun, for this coming up year, what it is that we got planned, because we have a few announcements that we're going to be making that's going to involve them as well. So that's going to be kind of cool. This show would be really short if it was, say, 4 years ago. Really. I mean, because I was the most alone individual going. I was successful where I wanted to be successful, which was in the business sector. I was successful in making money. I was successful in being successful in helping people. But I was the most alone person on earth because it was me, myself, and I that was there on a constant basis. And with my depression and my troubles with PTSD, suicidality, and my addiction, I didn't like myself very much. And normally when you don't like yourself very much, you don't like much about nothing. So 4 years ago, this would have been a real short show. But I'm sitting here feeling very grateful for a lot of people. And I'm going to say right now, there's no way that I can say everyone. So I'm going to do the best that I can for this show, and I promise that this isn't going to be the only show that we're going to talk about the people who we care about, who supported us. The next couple that I'd like to acknowledge is my aunt and uncles. All of them, have been supportive. One that I really want to recognize is my Uncle Donnie. My Uncle Donnie was more of a big brother than he was an uncle. I mean, he schooled me in more ways on the basketball court that made me dizzy. You know what I mean? He taught me how to throw a curveball, playing baseball. One that actually moved, I mean. It's like, it's like, here comes a curveball, and, it's only because I pulled it that it moved, but he actually showed me, how to rotate the ball. And we used to throw the Frisbee for hours, in my childhood. And so he was like a big brother to me. And when I went through my toughest times, I think he, outside of my parents, I think he suffered the most because he saw the drop that was me to what he didn't want to see. You know, I remember him being at my bedside, you know, after I woke up from an attempt, you know, after a couple days, you know, where I didn't know where I was or much of anything, but I remember him being there, you know. And we argued actually a couple times, you know. So he was always there for me, and I know that for what it is that I went through, he felt a lot, and so I want to acknowledge him in a big way, because he's been there since I was 4 years old, 5 years old, and to this day. And I remember hurting him once, you know, as to something that I had done that disappointed him in a great way, and I remember how that felt. I remember how that felt to know that I did that, and so I know how important he is, and I love him to death. So I definitely want to acknowledge him, and I want to acknowledge my Aunt Sherry, because she was the one that was kind of like the mediator when things were going wrong, because she kind of knew what was going on. She has some experience in regards to mental health and also depression and addiction. So she was kind of the mediator, but she was always there. She helped. She taught me how to swim, you know, when I was a kid, and she always is this bubbly type personality, to where she, you know, runs up and gives you a hug and kisses you on the cheek, and then she slaps you upside the head, you know, at the same time. You know, kind of like, stop being, you know, she would say. You know, so I want to recognize her, you know, in regards to that. And I've got a few more. I don't know if you guys do, but Joey, you have anybody?
Yeah, actually, a very powerful community that I'm involved with, I would like to thank. And that is the RSD CRPS community on the internet, including all the groups and the pages that are out there, and all the wonderful advocates that are out there teaching people about chronic pain. Came upon a great organization called Power of Pain Foundation, and a great individual, Barbie Engel, with her husband, Ken Taylor. We've got to thank them. Always wanted to be a part of their organization, and finally now have a spot with them. You know, I am their marketing and promotions director. And I just want to thank the whole community as a whole, because without the community, we would not have the awareness that we have out there today. And when I first got RSD back in 2008, there was hardly anything on the internet about it. And when I went on Google and I typed in RSD CRPS, there was hardly anything. There was like 2 or 3 pages. You know, now there's thousands and thousands of pages and groups and websites, and I'm telling you, it was the first 40 possible advocates that put this thing together, including myself, and I'm very proud of what we put together, you know, in this great community that we have. You know, if it wasn't for a lot of us, you wouldn't have the information that you have. You know, we put together a lot of great information on websites, on networks, on groups and pages on Facebook, Google Plus, and LinkedIn. I mean, there's just so much information out there now, ladies and gentlemen. You're swamped with information. You know, there's videos out there from doctors. There's videos out there from patients. I even got some videos out there. I got some pictures out there when I was going through my column R experience so I could share it with everybody. You know, so I want to thank the RSDCRPS community, because without all of us, we would not have the information that we have. And of course, I would like to thank those advocates that stepped up, like me, to help put this community together and build it and grow it and network it. And boy, is it big now. I'm happy about it. And God bless you all. Take care.
Well, thank you. How about you? Wayne.
Are you talking to me?
I am. You're the only one in the room.
I don't know if people can appreciate the subtlety of that, though.
It's a family day. Let's go.
Hey, you over there.
You. Hey, you.
The viewers at home are wondering who he's talking to. I'm really kind of at a loss to try and single particular people out, other than those that I already have. Certainly, to call out by name. It's just me. I'm weird like that. But the I just say for me, just you can just look on my Twitter, look at my Facebook, and see the people who I see the people who I call friends on there. They're small lists. Well, Twitter is kind of a big list, but Facebook's is a list of only about 100, and a lot of those, about half of those are very recent, and the other half are more long term. But I don't just add people willy-nilly to my Facebook, and everybody on there is important support to me. It's a great way to communicate, stay in touch. As Joey says, a lot of these people haven't met in person, but meeting in person doesn't make the relationship any stronger or less stronger. I mean, it's an aspect of a relationship, and it can be a great one if it's convenient, if it's available. But you can't use that as a limitation not to get to know people, not to get to meet people, not to care about people, not to help each other. The fact that they're not in the same room with you doesn't make them any less important to you. And I should put that all back on me. It certainly doesn't make them any less important to me because they're not in the room with me at the time or ever in some cases. I think I'll stay before I talk myself into a hole that I can't get out of.
This wasn't meant to hang you or nothing. Let me see. Sandy and Steve Pasquarello. They were across the street. They were across the street neighbors, but they were basically my second set of parents, just in a different way. In fact, Steve used to call me, he calls me son all the time, and Sandy has always been supportive, even in my worst of times. When I would sit there and I would say, people don't understand me, people don't know what it is that I'm going through, she would sit there and she would talk with me, and she would try to understand as best as that she could. Steve just loved me unconditionally, and I needed that. I needed that in a great deep way. And it wasn't because I wasn't getting loved. It's just that I needed something different, and he did that. He did that in a way that I can never repay, and I can always say that I respect and I love both of them in a great manner. I'm just going to roll with it now because it's like I'm kind of feeling it here. Deanna Mazurkowitz. Now this is an ex-fiance, an ex-relationship. Things didn't always go well, obviously, but I have to say this. Deanna was there in every situation, every time that I was in the hospital, every time that I was at my worst, She was there in order to support me and be there for me. She's seen me at my worst more than a few times. I mean, I would sit there and I would come out of an ambulance and, you know, we hadn't seen each other for months or even a year, and there she would be. You know, she would be in the window or at the door, and you know, and I don't think she realizes how much I appreciated that and how much that meant to me. Like I said, no matter what the situation was, she was there. So I definitely wanted to recognize her. Wayne the Hacker.
For me?
That would be you. Let me tell you something. Arisen Strength probably would not be here if it wasn't for Wayne. Because I remember writing Arisen Strength, which was a written motivational piece, before it was anything. And I was really not doing well mentally, but I was trying to as best as I can. And I remember Wayne sending me a Facebook, you know, we were talking about Facebook and Twitter. I remember we live in the same house, but I'm always up till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I remember Wayne reading what Arisen Strength was at the time. And he came back to me and he said, Shane, this is real. And he says, you need to run with this. And that kind of like, I don't know, it put like nitrous into my motor. You know what I mean? It was something, it was like a validation, but it was from somebody who I respected a great deal. And it was somebody who I knew that if I could get a good response from him, because I know how brilliant he really is, then I've got something.
But I remember that that was at the end of several months. We would have dinner, you know, several nights a week, and then after we'd sit and then talk for about an hour.
Yeah.
About just, you know, and it could be anything, but mostly it was about just getting thoughts organized in my head and thoughts organized in your head, and trying to figure out where we were. And you were working on your writing and a lot of the ideas, and it's sort of all those ideas that are in this wonderful spoken piece, Arisen Strength. If you haven't seen the video yet, or if you haven't seen it recently, I recommend going back and rewatching it. But you know, you were doing some really important work on yourself at that point, and writing that, you said it was still tough. It wasn't like everything was great and you were inspired to write that. It was the writing of that was a very important point in your life, and there was something about it when I read it. I think maybe you had sent it to me. This is in your mail. Take a look at it sometime, and probably, I don't know, a few days go by and I wasn't looking at it because I don't read my email. And I was like, wait, did you look at it? Like, yeah, I'll get to it. And then when I did read it, and he said it was pretty late at night, and I said, no, there's something magical going on, and it was a magic that it's not even fully captured in the piece itself, because it was all about the timing of it. It was like, you know, Shane writing this at this time, and then sort of me reading it right there and being able to reflect on the previous few months, saying, wow, if anybody ever needed a little nudge that would just pay dividends, it would be Shane right now, needing just the tiniest nudge to say, you know, you got something here, you need to run with this. And it was all the pieces were in place. So it was really like topping over a single domino, and then just letting it go, because it was all set up.
Yeah.
You'd spent months setting it up mentally, you know, emotionally, And then yeah, it's been a wild ride since then.
Well, he really has. And Wayne also would listen. I mean, I've written speech after speech, speaking from the patient's point of view. It's not easy hearing the same thing over and over. It's just a different way of me saying it and trying to get a reaction. And he did that for me. He was that soundboard that could give me some advice that I needed at the time, and that I needed to get some feedback, that learn, improve, share type of thing, before we even started talking about it. And so I mean, you made this capable. I fully acknowledge that. And
I think I probably recognized the moment. It was more so than anything else, because maybe I shouldn't be little. It was an important moment, and I did put a lot of time in with you, crafting these ideas, and being your sounding board, and then trying to get you to think about it a little bit more. Not trying to get you to think what I was thinking, but to get you to think a little bit more deeply about what you were thinking. And it was really interesting in the process too, how there was a subtle change of. There was a real strong emphasis at the beginning of doing things for other people at the expense of yourself, and then slowly it turned into this thing. I gotta make this for me. This is something I gotta do for me, and then let the strength emanate from within. Be solid and strong within and confident within, and then reach out to help people. So I'm not necessarily helping people to fix me. But I'm going to help people because it's the right thing to do and it feels right. It's that this is one of those moments where you're kind of saying the same words, but it has a little different spin on it, a little different feel, and it makes such a big difference.
But I needed that feedback, it really just brought that strength, that fire, a little bit more to me. And like you said, I didn't need much, because thankfully I had the skill set that was given to me, God given, and also I worked on it, and I just was able to, like you say, I was just able to put things together a little bit. And then when I started getting the validation to it, it was almost as if like it turned this simple thing, and then all of a sudden somebody turned on the switch, and then it had energy. And it was something that just really kind of just kind of blew up from there. And opportunities came left and right. Speaking at this hospital, speaking at this clinic, going to this organization and speaking, and within a year's time, I had 2 40-minute speeches, 2 poems, a good start on a book, and the start of Arisen Strength, and it was something that I have to acknowledge, because it was something that was poignant in my life. So I definitely appreciate the man across me, not only for that, but for every other day that he's helped me in a number of ways. Joey, any more?
I'm pretty much tapped out, I think. I just...
well, you just covered the whole world. You said Twitter, Facebook, the entire internet.
Well, my mom, that was important. I had to get my mom in there.
Right.
But one other person I gotta thank is a very inspirational person in my life. Very inspirational, motivational individual. She sends me Christmas cards every year. She works on books. She wrote a song, and she did all of this from her bed. And she's a bed-bound RSD patient. Her name is Jane Gonzalez. And when I met her, I didn't think the relationship, would go far, but it went really far with her. We talk all the time on the internet. We really became great friends. I knew her before she was bedbound. Unfortunately now it's tough for her to move or do anything. She is just confined to the bed. But with her limitations, she does so much. Like I said, she writes books. She does poems. She actually posts in our groups great poems that she writes. She writes them and she posts them up there. I said, Jane, we love your poetry. Post them up on the groups. We love it. And she actually does she does poetry contests, with folks. We actually did one on the air during RSD Awareness Month 2014 on the Joey Giggles channel, which was then, it was the Joey Giggles channel. Now it's WIRN since the new year. But she came on and we did a poetry contest right on the air. We were reading poetry and then we chose the winner right on the air. She does a lot from her bed, and she's very inspirational and very motivational. When I look at her and I see other people moaning and groaning and saying, woe is me, I can't do anything, I say, well, look at Jane Gonzalez. She does it all from her bed, so that's the last person I have to thank.
That's a good one to thank. It's a good one to leave off on. I have to acknowledge my higher power. My higher power is God and His Son, Jesus Christ. Whether you believe in the stories of Jesus or not, that doesn't matter to me. Everybody is different. For me, it means a great deal because I believe that I'm here for a reason, and it isn't because of me. I can tell you right now, because at my worst, I was as detrimental as possible to my own self. I committed myself to suicide numerous times, and they were not attempts just to get attention by any means. And so there's a reason why that I was left on this earth, and it took me a long while in order to find out what that was. I thought I knew what it was. I thought that I was doing what it is that I was supposed to do. I was being successful where I was. I was helping other people. But I still was having my problems and my struggles, and it was through those problems, through those challenges, and those struggles that led me to my purpose. And I found my purpose to utilize my experiences and my knowledge to be able to help others in a different way. And so I definitely put a lot of stock into my higher power. We're starting to run out of time. I'm going to name some names real quick. Courtney Beckwith, a great friend of mine. Chrissy Brady. You both mentioned Crystal. Crystal's a superior supporter to me. She actually is an admin on Arisen Strength, and she's a big part of the JGF organization. The JGF organization, I'm very appreciative of because it gives me a platform in order to bring what it is that we had going in the right direction, only to a whole lot more people in a lot more different ways. And so I'm very appreciative of that, Joey. I think that this is why we did what we did. We came together knowing that we had something similar and a message that was similar, but in different ways. And it just seemed to be a good fit. We didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I think that we're both benefiting from that decision. So I know I am. So I very much appreciate that.
I am too, Shane. I am too.
Excellent. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to remember everybody's name. I will say this: my grandfathers, my grandfather Papa D, Grandpa Schulz, and Grandpa Gerard, who was also known as Grandpa Brute. These guys, I learned from in a great manner. I learned the way to be how I am from these guys, and so they're all gone now. They're all up in heaven, but I'll never forget them. I keep on being told, you look exactly like your Grandpa Brute, and you act just like this one, and you have that, and and I just laugh, and I'm like, well, then they did pretty good, And then I want to mention, I mentioned him a lot in the MS episode, was my Uncle Davy. That man, carried me for a good ways when I needed him most. When I was at the bottom of my addiction, he drove me to meetings. He drove me to Burger King, where we would sit there for a couple hours and just yap and vent, and we're very similar in our demeanors, and he knew when I needed to get away from everything, so he would take me. We go out and we play golf, and he just about kicked my ass. It's because by the score, but I can't leave the show without him, so I wanted to definitely mention it. So we're going to wrap it up. Everybody's had a chance in order to be able to at least get some of the names that we remember fondly for helping us in our times of challenges and our times of struggles. It's like when I say celebration, it's not always about balloons and laughing and joking and everything like that, but that doesn't mean that the emotions aren't as much, because the what I feel inside, the amount of gratitude that I feel for all the names that I mentioned and so many more, including the followers that I have on both, Serenely Speaking, on Arisen Strength, with the JGF organization. It's just a different kind of celebration as to where, it's real, and you really feel it, and so that's what I believe that this was the way that it was supposed to be for tonight. So I'm gonna leave it at that. For Crystal, hopefully we'll get her here, probably by the end of the year, I would think. Hopefully we'll get Crystal to be here next week. Maybe she can help us with the wrap-up show, the recap show, I should say, on Thursday night, so we can get some people that she wants to acknowledge. But for tonight, I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Wayne. And I just want to mention, folks, I know how you feel, and I'm here to help. Have a good night, and happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Have a good night.
Happy Easter, everyone. Good night.